to PewPew Apologetics, where we wake up sleeping lions. Like and subscribe to hear the roar.
Hey, welcome. And once again, thank you for joining us on this live. We have another exciting episode, of course. This time we're going to be reviewing the debacle that was the debate with Orthodox Muslim, Korra, and our guys Cliffe and Stuart Knechtle. Well, we're going to take a look at some of the things that were said from both sides, and we're going to try to give an honest take and on what went down. Right? I think we have quite a few folk that have already done reviews, but we want to give our side, what we think, where we land on this, our opinion, right? And we'll try to present it from a neutral position rather than saying, the Orthodox Muslim, he's a Muslim. Obviously, he's going to say everything he says is bad, or what Cliff, because he's Christian, everything he says is good. We're not. We'll try to take a neutral side, and we'll see where it goes. And of course, we have Debo from Bruce Reed Perspective joining us. Thank you, Debo.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So let's jump in, and we're gonna skip here and there, unless there's something that you guys post in the chat and say, hey, go to this point or timestamp or whatnot. We're just gonna pick some of the things that we think are very important and go from there. So from the get-go, it's a lot of goofy stuff. It's a lot of silly stuff, right? The first 15 minutes are taken by the Christians, and then you have the next 15 minutes taken by the Muslims, and they're going to say a lot of things. And one of the things I do want to focus on is tactic, right? The strategy by which we approach this whole scene of debating or trying to present the truth to a Muslim, whether it be a friend or just a debater, an interlocutor. So I'm going to skip a lot of the first few minutes, the intro from our side of the aisle. Debo, if there's any timestamps that you do want to hit in the first 15 minutes, let me know.
Yeah, I think
Go
just one thing to keep in I'm not sure what the prompt was and what kind of format this debate really is. It seems
it's very open. It was just Islam
Right,
versus
exactly.
Christianity.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Islam versus Christianity. And we'll get into that. Why they left it broad, why it seems that the guys in the driver's seat are definitely the Muslims, specifically Orthodox Muslim, Libiano. We'll see.
Yeah, I hate debates like this just from the start. These kind of wishy-washy prompts are just...
Yeah, and they left it like that because they knew who they're going up against, right? So they left it like that, and they did that on purpose. And what the heck, bro? Obnoxious noises. Okay, I'm gonna go to minute 14 unless you have something before that.
No, we're good.
Okay, and I'm gonna also speed it up just a tad. All right, guys.
Oh, Pew, you're not showing it, by the way.
I'm not showing what?
No, you're not casting it.
Estimated.
Yeah.
So yeah, for example, Cliffe and Stuart will say, well, the disciples went to their deaths for preaching Jesus died and resurrected. This is false. There's not a shred of evidence for that. As a matter of fact, our earliest martyrdom tradition comes from first.
This is exactly the point that I wanted anyways. I just started a little bit earlier. What's this?
Clement, written in the year 95. And all it says is that Peter and Paul died. They went to their sleep. It doesn't say why. It doesn't say they were killed, because I thought I had less time. Seems like I underestimated. So yeah, for example, Cliffe and Stuart will say, well, the disciples went to their deaths for preaching Jesus died and resurrected. This is false. There's not a shred of evidence for that. As a matter of fact, our earliest martyrdom tradition comes from First Clement, written in the year 95. And all it says is that Peter and Paul died. They went to their sleep. It doesn't say why. It doesn't say they were killed for preaching that Jesus died and rose again on the third day. It just says they were killed. All the other martyrdom stories are extremely late, and most of them come from.
Okay, so you'll see this throughout the debate. This guy, Libiano, he just makes up stuff. Now you'll see Stuart call him out later, but yeah, we'll get to it, right? When they start to become a little more aggressive, we'll see the strategies and the tactics that the both sides employ. This is one of their tactics. They just make up claims, right? What do you mean the first martyr? Bro, have you read the Bible? Have you read the book of Acts? We have the first martyr in the Bible. We don't need to go to tradition. We don't need to go to outside sources. It's right there in the Bible. What's wrong with you? Right. What do you mean? Surely, and this guy will say it later, that, you know, these books are written. Some of the Gospels, he'll admit, were written within like 30 years. Right? It'll come out of his mouth because they're going to press him on another point. And so he'll concede this point, right? Which is great, because that's going to come back on him down the road, right? So he makes a wild claim that the first martyr for Christianity was one reported by Clements. What are you talking about? How about try Stephen from the book of Acts? How about try James, one of the 12 apostles? Not to mention all those that may have been put to death by Paul himself, right? Who knows?
Either some of them come from Tertullian, who's living in the second half of the second century, and Eusebius, who's way later. So all of these martyrdom stories are simple fabrications that come later, that they're not attested early on. So no, we don't grant that the disciples went to their death for preaching such a thing. That's number one. Number two, we have a plethora of evidence that early on there were multiple Christian factions. For example, the enemies of Paul, who had a different significant gospel, which Paul calls a false gospel. When he's writing a letter to the Galatian church, those people had a false gospel. What was that gospel? It didn't focus on the death of Christ. Hence why he says in Galatians chapter 3 that, why are you deserting the gospel that I'm giving you? Wasn't it clear that Jesus Christ was betrayed and crucified before your very eyes? Meaning,
what's he talking about? False gospel. So that means what? Right? If you're going to say false, there's a truth. Right? And
and by the way,
yeah,
the people he would be referring to, Paul, are people who didn't deny that Jesus was divine. In fact, the whole point was Jesus was so divine that he couldn't have died. So if you're going to use that as a defeater for the Christian position, you then have to accept that even those people that Paul was criticizing thought that Jesus was divine.
Yep.
The interpreters interpreted this two ways. Either some of them denied the cross, and most of them interpret this as they denied the implication, the theological significance of Paul's gospel, that Jesus died for our sins. He was an atonement for our sins. Rather, we have multiple independent attestation from the Didache, from the letter of James.
Wait, hold up. Where does he get that from? He's just saying stuff now.
Yeah. So what they've figured out from from interactions between different camps, right, is that there are multiple theologies out there about the reason for the cross, right? You have the what is the atonement for? Why did Jesus go to the cross? Why did he suffer and die and rise up on the third day, etc.? The why, well, you have the substitutionary atonement, the penal substitutionary atonement, a subcategory. You have the Orthodox position of defeating the enemy. You have the maybe, I guess you can say, the messianic position, right, of reconciliation. You have a lot of, not a lot, but you have a few theories put out there, and he's trying to play one camp against the other. That's what they're doing, right? That's what they're doing. In this debate, of course, you only have the Protestants, so they're going to present their position, right? But what he's going at is, hey, you have this guy says this guy says that, let's play them against each other. That's what he's doing.
Right. It is just a poor. He's attacking a straw man. Who says it has to be against each other? That's the fundamental problem.
Exactly. See, one of the things that I discovered recently, I'm pleasantly surprised, is that Debo and I share this position that it doesn't have to be solely PSA. It doesn't have to be solely Christian's victory. It doesn't have to be solely reconciliation. I take the position it's all three. Christ died on the cross to accomplish all of the above, right? All of the above are necessary, are part of this gospel message, are part of the tasks that Christ came to do, to accomplish, right? It's not just one. I don't think that you can take one away and have the full gospel. You know what I mean? I don't see how that works. The problem, but we haven't seen our guys rebut, so I don't want to speak ahead of turn.
From Thomas, from multiple early sources and documents that actually portray a different gospel, a gospel that is not centered around the resurrection of Christ. On the other hand,
is he talking about the gospel of Thomas?
He's talking,
and is he
about
saying that's
extra.
Early?
That's what I'm saying. This guy just makes wild claims, and maybe because it's like one after the other, after the other, after the other, our guys don't really pin him down to those points. But Stuart does say, hey, listen, you're throwing like three things at me. You're throwing five things at me. He does say that. But that's part of their tactic. This is how the Muslims operate. They throw 10 things at you, and you respond to one, and you ignore the other 9, or you don't get to the other 9. Guess what they do? They claim victory on the other 9. And their whole camp is hooping and hollering, hey, look, we've defeated the Christians on those other 9 points. Bro, shut up, bro. All right. The childish tactics that are used, right? You know what I mean? I mean, this is something that when you're in high school debate, they beat this out of you, right? They ridicule you for pulling this kind of tactics.
The Prophet Muhammad's disciples went to their death. For example, Jabir ibn Abdullah.
Watch the crazy claims they're gonna say, bro. Watch.
He fought in 19 battles with the Prophet, risked his life in 19 battles. This is the man who says that the Prophet multiplied food and water before his very eyes. And unlike our opponents today, they won't be able to substantiate that anything actually goes back to the mouth of the apostles. We can substantiate that all these reports of eyewitness testimonies go back to the disciples of the Prophet using isnadkum meta-analysis. And I have more and more to say.
Can you just stop there?
Yeah.
He's talking about the isnad method, whatever. I don't think he even said it right. The Hadith science, which is just the traditions. That's what Hadith means, right? Does he not realize people like Al-Dahabi and Ibn Hajar, all these people who compile the list and give gradations to the narrators in the chains? Their starting premise is that the Sahaba are all trustworthy. They cannot err.
Yeah.
So obviously, if they say something is true, sorry, that's science now. All of a sudden, that part is immune to a scientific inquiry. That's the isnad that he's appealing to.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just assume the Prophet and his companions are just correct. They cannot do any wrong.
Yeah.
From that, let's build a science around it. What? Hello?
Yeah. Bro.
Again, I'm not sure how much they know about Hadith science, but even if you watch people like Shabir Ali and what's the other guy's name? Yasser Qadi, they've all admitted, like, you have to take it as a matter of faith. And once you take it as a matter of faith, then Hadith science is extremely robust. Basically, once you submit, then you can use your brain. Only if you first submit to Allah, then everything makes sense.
Yeah.
But they give no reason to submit to Allah.
Right. Exactly. Listen, Yasser Qadi is already on video, right? Put on blast by Mimi Hijab himself, that the Hadith sciences is not even a science. It's garbage. It's not. You cannot present that in an academic circle, right? You can't. In an academic setting, there's no Hadith sciences. This is garbage. And so he's gonna use big words like we can substantiate, we can yada yada. You can't do jack, bro. You can't.
They can't substantiate unless you start from the premise that the Prophet and his companions cannot err.
Exactly. Which is crazy, because now you have a whole generation that cannot make mistakes, and yet they contradict each other. They all contradict each other.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something we'll go into later.
Yes, and then you have Muhammad contradicting himself. I mean, like, make it make sense. Somebody.
Korra, the rest of the time, maybe she wants to.
Or
How much time we got?
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
No,
Take it, Korra.
I'm good. I'm good. I think.
Oh, you're
okay.
good. Okay.
So-
All right. So I'll just continue. I just want to respect everybody's time. That's one. Number two, they're gonna try to run Isaiah 53. They're not gonna be able to, unfortunately, today. Isaiah 53 is about Israel. I challenge anybody to try to substantiate Jesus. They're gonna fail miserably, with all due respect. They're gonna go to Malachi. Everything they have for Jesus is flimsy, ad hoc, typology, taken out of context. That's why Matthew has Jesus ride 2 donkeys. That's why Jesus has to strip verses out of context, make up passages. The Messiah will be called the Nazarene when that doesn't exist. And there's a Hebrew in Isaiah 11. It says the word Netzar, and that sounds a little bit too close to Nazarene. So maybe there's a connection there. You have to go through so many loops to try to show.
Can you just stop there? First of all, we've talked about all of these points before in length. One thing that is important to note is when the Quran, even their traditions, they talk about Muhammad, for example, being in the previous scripture. All of these things are utilizing prophetic methods that he's right now denying. He's saying that these things are ad hoc, out of context, typology, all of these things. Problem is that very same method is what they're going to use to insert Muhammad into the Bible.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that prophetic methodology is what was being utilized by the ancients. It's not out of context. It's not ad hoc. That's just how prophecy was interpreted. The difference is when it comes to Christ, all of them converge upon him.
Yes.
Nothing converges upon Muhammad.
Yes.
So the people who are extending that into a proportion that's untenable, it's only them, while they're simultaneously undermining the very mechanism that they're trying to put Muhammad into the Bible.
Yes. Well, I mean, it does say Ahmed somewhere in the Bible, and Mahmedim in Song of Solomon, where Solomon is speaking of physical attraction between him and his wife. Somewhere Muhammad somehow got in there. You know what I mean? So, bro, he's talking about Netzer. Bro, you do a lot more gymnastics to try to squeeze Muhammad into the Bible, and you haven't yet done it. What are you talking about, bro?
I mean,
sorry,
man.
When we show that Christ is prophesied as a Nazarene, we can show it from Scripture, right? There's like 3 or 4 strands that all come together, right?
And it fits within the historical context of that time and the cultural context.
Yes,
all of these things. So these prophetic fulfillments have to exist and be fulfilled within that milieu, whether it be historical, cultural, linguistic, all of these things. It has to fit within that specific milieu.
Yes.
You can't just insert anyone in there. Right? Because if he wants to play those games, I can give you a more tenable statement. For example, in the Bible, it talks about the Arabs, Arabi, who are Bedouin desert dwellers who gave themselves up to whoredom and paganism. Hey, look, there's the same word, Arabs. You guys are in the same place. And it talks about that.
Yeah.
And Yahweh utterly refutes and abhors their practice. Great. I have a stronger connection. What grounds do you have for rejecting that now?
Here's the thing.
If you're going to take history, culture out of it,
their own
that's
traditions,
a better connection.
Their own hadiths corroborate exactly what God is saying there. Their own hadiths talk about the outer whoredom that was practiced in the Kaaba and in other holy sites of the Arabs. Utter sexual filth. Right? And this is recorded in their own hadiths of what the people, the Arabs, would do before Islam came. And this is talking about what Muhammad's family, his dad, his mother, his family was doing.
Right. Also, the hadiths also talk about whom Muhammad comes from. His brothers, from whom they would come out of, is the Arabs. The same people who engaged and gave themselves up to whoredom and pagan idolatry.
Yeah.
From among them shall Muhammad come.
Yeah.
That's what it says in your hadith.
Listen, at some point, I'm going to do a session. One podcast is going to be devoted solely to the father of Muhammad. Who is Muhammad's father? We're going to, it's going to be fun. There's going to be fireworks.
Messiah is in the Old Testament. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's about 50 seconds if you want to leave with anything, but it seems like we can move on to Cliffe and Stuart.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll concede the rest of the time. That's
okay,
fine.
So Cliffe and Stuart, let me reset the timer. You have 15 minutes for your introduction, and then we can get into the back and forth.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about this most important issue. The reason that I think Christ is so crucial to seriously consider is, first of all, because of what he claimed to be. He claimed to be God in human form. In John 8:58, Jesus says, before Abraham was born, I am. And there was no misunderstanding with the Jews. They picked up stones to...
Listen, guys. You see what Cliffe is doing, right? As much as we are jumping on the crazy, wild, false claims of Libiano and eventually Korra, I do want to point out something. Listen, the topic is Islam versus Christianity. You don't go straight to the Bible and you don't go straight to Jesus. You take the enemy on their territory. You don't invite them over to your doorstep and say, let's fight here. Right? Not that we can't defend it, but it's a lot more productive. Because here's what are we doing when we're debating the Muslim? Are you thinking that you're ever going to convince Libiano or Korra? You're not going to do that. That's not happening. For that to happen, I mean, I don't want to say pigs are going to fly, but you know what I mean? It's not happening, right? So let's be realistic. What are we hoping to accomplish in a debate? The audience that's listening, they need to see what? They need to see that Islam it's a sham. Islam is a sham, right? They need to see the utter failure that is this supposed religion. It's actually a political ideology, right? That they wrap in supposed religion. It's not even a religion. They need to see Islam for what it is. The audience does, not Libiano, not Korra. So when you bring the debate back to Jesus, when you bring the debate back to the Bible, now we're playing a defensive game. Because if you think that you're going to present the gospel and convince these guys or even the audience, it's not happening. Here's why. Understand the Muslim mind. The Muslim, listen, the Muslim is thinking that no matter what you say, your book is corrupted. No matter how you present it, you are a deceiver. Shaitan has sent you to deceive them, right? So if that's what's in their mind, it doesn't matter what you say, bro. You can tell them God loves you, God loves you, God loves you. It means nothing to them. That it's in one ear and out the other. That's if it even made it in the ear. You know, there's no connection between what you're saying and the intended effect that you're hoping for. It's not happening. You've got to dismantle their book. You've got to dismantle their prophet. All you have to do is read their book out loud to them. All you got to do is read their hadith out loud to them, right? But you've got to force them to that position where they have to listen to the hadith. They have to listen to the Qur'an. Until they listen, until they hear what's in their book, they're never going to care what's in your book, because your book is garbage. It's corrupted. The Jews corrupted the book and the Christians corrupted the book. Why would the Muslims listen to it? So don't bring it back to Jesus. Not yet. Dismantle Islam and then present Jesus. Once you have taken away Shaitan, the devil, out of the picture, then you present the good. Then you present Jesus. You understand? Tactical mistake right here. Our guy is talking about Jesus. Bro, take it to Muhammad. Take it to the Quran.
Stone him for blasphemy. At the trial of Christ in Matthew 26, we read how Caiaphas stands up, looks at Christ and says, listen, the conversation's been a little confusing. I demand of you, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? And Jesus says, I am. And he says, you'll see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And Caiaphas tears his mantle and says, gentlemen, what more evidence do we need? You've heard this man.
So the next few minutes is going to be Cliffe is presenting Christ. Good heart. Listen, let me tell you something up front. I don't like personally criticizing one of our guys, especially somebody who's effective in his area. He does a great job in his area, right? But guess what, guys? Debating Muslims doesn't seem to be his area. Cliffe, if you ever see this video, I got nothing but love and respect for you, bro. And Stuart, got nothing but love and respect for you guys. But listen, this is a specialized field. Let's leave it to those that have a track record or have results with Islam and the Muslims. Let's not listen, guys. I was telling this to a couple of guys just yesterday. The gospel message is usually all you need when you're speaking to an atheist, an agnostic, a Buddhist, a Hindu, or whatever, right? It works. The love of Jesus, the love of God is effective because they don't have this firewall set up already. These guys, Islam, from what I've seen, right? If you go back to the first video that I put out, where I tell you, listen, man, I was trained to show, to be loving and caring and feed them and hug them and kiss them into the kingdom, right? This is how you're trained. Present the gospel and just hug them in. It doesn't work with Muslims. It does not work with Muslims. One day I stumbled on Christian Prince's video. I was kind of irritated at his name, so I watched his video, and he rocked my world. The approach, the method that he used, which is now being used by all of these guys, right? I don't know if Christian Prince was the first. I don't know, but he's the first one I ran into, and he's been doing it for decades, right? And so now all of these guys, the polemics guys, they're what are they doing? They're taking the fight to Islam. They're going for Muhammad, they're going for the Qur'an, and they're dismantling all of that. And once you dismantle that, then you present Jesus. Right. So we're gonna skip a few minutes because he's presenting the gospel. I don't have a problem with the gospel being presented, except when you're being ineffective. And you're being ineffective because either you don't understand or you think you're smarter, right? That somehow you can force the gospel to be effective because you're going to say it cooler or smarter or something. So let's go forward to a really crazy statement that I heard, right? Let's go to get ready to be rocked.
Well, one thing I do want to say is we don't know what they agreed to beforehand when it comes to the debate format. It might have been that Chris and Stuart had to do a defensive position, because I don't think that's a rebuttal. I think that's just an opening statement from them. Again, this is why I hate these kind of debates. Judging by the views they got, I'd rather this debate didn't happen than it did happen, unless you're like super nailed down on the prompts and things like that. Because when you start like this, as you will see, it just does not work well. It all it does is entrench people that already came in with a preconceived view. So the Muslims are going to go into this thinking, look, here, we're correct. And on a good day, it's supposed to be the Christians go and watch this and go, look, yeah, we're correct. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. The danger for me, for what I'm seeing, is I don't think Christians are going to see this and say, oh, you know what, Christianity is weak or stupid. I don't think. Yeah. Well, what's happening is there's a lot of wishy-washy Muslims. They've heard all of the stupid things that's coming across the internet about Muhammad and the Qur'an and him sleeping with a 6-year-old and this and that, all this crazy, right? And so they're wishy-washy. They're half in, half out. A debacle like what you're about to witness, is it may be enough to strengthen them again and say, listen, I may not understand Islam quite yet, but at least we're not like the Christians who's gonna say some of these crazy things. Like, watch this. Watch this.
Poor Christians in North Africa. What happened to them at the hands of the Muslims? Not a pretty picture, guys. So the center of Christianity then migrated up to Eastern Europe, then it moved over to Western Europe, then it moved to the United States. And now today, where's the center of Christianity? Africa, Asia, and South America. I find that incredible. For we read in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. The center of Islam has always been Mecca. The center of Christianity moves around the world. Jesus is not for one race. Jesus is not for one people group. Jesus is for the entire world. What I find interesting is in Islam.
Again, the whole thing about Mecca, that again is contested. So what Muslims have done, which I don't know why they got to dictate the rules, but they've essentially separated scholars into three categories. You have the traditionalists, which just take the account as is. Then you have the revisionists. I don't know why they're being called revisionists, because revised against what? You haven't established that traditionalism is first correct. Anyway, the traditionalist, and then there are the people who are just, you just don't look at the early days of Islam because they just don't really care, and that usually falls on Western scholars. They just, it just doesn't interest them. It's more interesting to them to see how to apply higher critical forms of study on the text. Right? They don't care on lower critical forms. So all of this is just, you might grant a little too much, and I understand you can't just tackle everything in this debate, but it's just for you guys as viewers to know. All of these things are contested. You need to do your due diligence and study all of these things.
Yes.
Because you can make the case for it. There are people that don't bother making a case, and then there are the traditionalists who do make the case. But again, their starting supposition is Muhammad is just right. So if he says he was at Mecca, and then when he went to Medina, all of these things, he must be right. So
Yeah. So like Devo says, everything is contested. We concede nothing. We don't concede Mecca. We don't concede the location, the existence even of Mecca. I don't concede. I concede nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Historically speaking, so it's Mecca is referred to as, again, in their paradigm, as something that was right there from the beginning. It's important because is it Adam and Eve that was dropped there, right?
Yeah.
So it's the most important place, and it was the busiest trade route in the whole world long before Muhammad came on scene. And yet you will find in Babylonian texts and things like that, no mention of Mecca. And yet it would have had to have been an important trade route. And if it was, it would have been mentioned in those texts because other trade routes were mentioned.
Right.
Trades hubs and centers were crucial to all the people, but it wasn't. You know why? Because it did not have access to water. If you're going to travel, you need to go through places that have access to water. Historically, they've never had access to water. This is something, again, that their own tradition makes very clear. There is no water there.
Yeah. Not only that, Mecca is 1,000 feet above this trade route. So you would have to take your donkeys or camels or whatever you're traveling on with all of your wares that you're trading, right? All of your supplies, all of your stuff. You would have to trek up 1,000 feet. Why? To a place with nothing there. Like literally look up Mecca, there's nothing there except what they've built in the last 100 years. There's nothing there. We concede nothing. We don't concede the existence of Mecca. In fact, I open challenge. Prove to me that there was a Mecca, not even in the time of Muhammad, 100 years later. I'll give you 100 years after Muhammad. Prove to me that Mecca existed. You can't. You can't. You might come up with Makara or something somewhere far wherever. That's not Mecca. Mecca should be Mecca, right? I mean, if it's existing from the time of Adam and Eve, and Abraham journeyed 1,000-something miles to come to Mecca and build a Kaaba, right? And then later on, thousands of years later, it says Muhammad is the first Muslim there, even though Abraham was the first Muslim. Oh, wait, Adam was the first. Well, somebody was the first Muslim there, right? Well, actually, everybody was the first Muslim. All of them were the first Muslims in Mecca. But where the heck is Mecca? Nobody knows. Prove to me from a map, from an inscription, from a writing, from anything. We know Babylon existed. How do we know this? Can you prove to me Mecca in a similar fashion? We know Jerusalem existed. The holiest site for all humanity, right? For all of existence. Prove it to me. I'll give you 100 years after Muhammad. Silly, silly. Now watch it. Watch what he's about to say.
Islam, if I'm really going to get in touch with the miracle of Islam, which is the Quran,
You're not showing it, by the
I'm
way.
going to have to learn Arabic.
Ah, again?
I can hear it, but I don't see it.
Okay, here we go.
I am consistently confronted by my Muslim friends who say, I'm sorry, Cliff, you don't read Arabic, so you can't really understand the Quran. I'm sorry, that's highly questionable. The New Testament was written in Greek. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew. It's been translated into languages around the world. You don't have to speak Greek or Hebrew in order to get to know Christ. And then another real difference between Muhammad and Jesus, although they shared many similarities, and I have great respect for Muhammad, but I worship Jesus.
What did he say? Did Cliff just say, I have great respect for Muhammad? Bro, did our guy just say, I have great respect for Muhammad? Let me ask any Christian, can you present to me what you find respectable in Muhammad? Show me one thing. Show me one thing that you find respectable in Muhammad. As a Christian, as a follower of Christ, show me. Just one thing, guys. Listen, Christians, stop being a bunch of pansies. Stop trying to brown nose these guys. They don't respect you for it. You gain nothing for it. Stop calling some child molesting, murderous, warlord, grapist from some Bedouin dude. And if I were to tell you some of the descriptions from their own hadiths, bro, we're gonna have all kinds of issues. Right? Stop calling him respectable. What do you mean you have great respect? For what? Cliff, I got nothing but love and respect for you, but that statement right there, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Somebody get him this video and you can clip this 10 seconds. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Don't do this again.
Christ is that Muhammad came with a sword. I'm sorry, that's an historical fact. Muhammad used the
That's
sword.
respectable.
And Islam has often spread.
Make it make sense. Somebody, please.
Due to the sword. When Christians have used the sword to promote Christianity, they are hypocrites. Because Christ called us to turn the other cheek. He called us to love even our enemies. But when my Muslim friends use the sword, they are not contradicting the Quran. They're not contradicting the way Muhammad lived his life. He participated in at least 27 military campaigns, probably more than that. And a lot of people were killed. So what is the only guarantee in Islam that you will definitely go to heaven? It's called dying in jihad. Watch out. Be very careful. And what is the goal of Islam? It's a totalitarian, utopian worldview. It basically says you've got to convert everybody in the world. We're all going to come under Islam. And then we're going to have Muslim rules, Muslim laws. Jesus Christ did not come with a sword. He came with a towel to serve, and he respects human free will, and he respects the human ability to think, to use the rational minds that God has given us to think clearly and objectively. So those are some of the reasons that I think that it's very wise to respect and to put your faith in Jesus Christ. The grave of Muhammad is full. He died, and his grave is full. I respect him.
One of the things I do notice is this guy right here. Once in a while, he'll nod in agreement to something Stuart or Cliff will say, right? So like when Cliff was talking about Islam came with a sword, this guy's, yeah, you're right. You know, I don't know what's going on in his goofy head.
I don't know how much you know about Sneaker, but he's not a smart cookie.
Yeah.
He became a Muslim mainly for the clout. He's I would just lump him into the category of celebrity Muslim. You know, he likes the idea of Islam. You know, it's for the powerful. So therefore, if he wants to be perceived as powerful, you become Muslim.
Wow. But for some strange reason, he's nodding at all the wrong times, right? let's go over to minute 30. We'll start it like here, and let's see what
Those are
Huh?
10th century and before.
let's see what these guys say. Check this out. Check this out. Here's what he's saying, right? I want you to pay attention to what Orthodox Muslim is saying. We'll back up a few seconds.
First question.
Go right ahead. Do what you feel most comfortable doing.
All right.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. Obviously,
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. It's not like a cross exam. You said there is 5,800 Greek manuscripts. How many of those come after the 10th century?
Somebody pay attention. What did he say? How many of the 5,800 manuscripts come after the 10th century? Right. I'm pretty sure I heard after the 10th century. Right. I want you to pay close attention and see how it goes.
None. Those are
Huh?
10th century and before.
So, okay, you're mistaken.
None.
Listen, he says after the 10th century, and Cliffe says these are 10th century or before. Now watch him wiggle out of this. After claiming that Cliffe is wrong, right? Watch him wiggle out of this.
After the 10th century.
Out of the 5,800 Greek manuscripts,
Yes.
97% come after the 8th, 9th, and 10th centuries. Is that correct?
So now he's shifted it from the 10th century over to 8th, 9th, and 10th century. Well, that's a big range now, right? What he said was a specific point after the 10th century, right? So now we're at year 1000. So 97% of these manuscripts, according to this guy, Libiano, was supposed to be after year 1000 AD, right? When Cliffe busts his bubble and says, nope, none of them, all of them are before the 10th, which places them in before the end of the 10th, I would say, right? We'll give it that extra 100 years, well, that full 100 years, right? So Cliffe comes in and says none, and now he backs it up to 8th, 9th, and 10th century. So now the 700s, the 800s, and the 900s. That's a full 300-year range that just got added after you made another wild, goofy claim. Libiano. You got a big mouth, bro. It gets ahead of you sometimes.
That's incorrect.
Oh, yeah, it's incorrect. You want me to pull up a table for you? I can pull it up for you if you want.
Oh, I can pull up tables also.
Pull it up then. Pull up your proof, bro.
You can play table game, but I don't have time for that. Go and study it yourself.
Okay, no, it's you haven't. I'm trying to be respectful. You haven't studied it. Okay.
Yes, I have studied.
Out of the 5,800 Greek manuscripts you have, 97% of them come after the 8th century. Okay.
Yeah, I said before the 10th.
So he bumped it back from 1,000 all the way to 799, 800 AD. Right.
What 1,100?
Yeah. Right. So if he says after the 8th century, it's not during the 8th century now. It's after the 8th century. So 700 to 799, it's after the 799. So now 800 AD forward. So if it's after, bro, he first claimed 10th century. Now he backed it up to 8th century. I bet you if you push
200 years is a long time.
it is. That's a long, bro. We just celebrated 250 years of American freedom, right? That's a long time.
It's a big old nation that popped up in that time. This
Rocked the
guy
whole
wants to
world in this
breeze
time.
over it. Just wants to breathe over it.
Jeez.
And if you want to deny that, that's fine. But the viewers can go and they could double check.
Yes.
It's a quick Google search. They'll find it in front of them. That's point number one.
Oh,
Okay?
P66. What do you got for P66?
Listen,
Yeah, I don't get this.
Stuart just jumped in and said something or another. Bro, Focus, Stuart. Focus, bro.
What does that have to do with what I said?
Second and third century.
I didn't say there's none from the. You're not understanding. I didn't say there's none from the 2nd century. I said 97% of the 5,800 come after the 8th century.
All right. Okay.
Meaning-
Yeah, you didn't know
No,
before
you
six, so
said
that's embarrassing.
10.
He did. He did.
Said
But
before
he
10?
he's hoping nobody paid attention. Oh, let's go over to what's his wild, crazy, stupid claim this guy says.
Scripts there are
How many?
250,000.
Wait, I gotta back it up. Hold on. This guy, he thinks he's so funny. He's funny looking is what he is, bro. Watch out. Let's start this.
97% of the 5,800 come after the 8th century. 300 manuscripts come before that. So yes, there's P66, there's P52 that comes from the 2nd century, from the mid-2nd century, the Gospel of John. But only
Goofy, P52 is from where? From when?
300 to 400 come before the 8th century. Okay?
So what?
No, because you said, we have 5,800.
Fine, I'll give you that
Before-
point. What's your point? that you're making?
Okay, just to be clear, do you know how many Quranic manuscripts there are?
What's this, guys? Does anybody, hey, guys, can you type it in chat somewhere? Do you know how many Quranic manuscripts exist for Islam? Just take a wild guess, guys. Oh my
How many?
goodness.
250,000.
250,000. Bro, what the heck is this guy saying? 250,000 manuscripts of the Quran? Bro, let me repeat my challenge. Open to this goofball, that undercover goofball, right? And to any other Muslim that would dare to defend the deen. Open challenge. Show me one, not 250,000, not 250, just one. Show me one complete Quran from the first 800 years of Islam. Show me one, let me repeat that. Show me one complete manuscript. One, just one, guys.
I believe it's only a single person that ever says the 250,000 figure.
And we have them right here. You are
Okay,
looking
he's the
at
second one.
who else said it?
But some guy named Muhammad Mustafa Al-Azimi. But he doesn't give any evidence for it.
Bro, listen. Whenever these guys say a number, always take like a few zeros off. Take a few zeros off. Not one either. Take a few zeros off. It's always inflated, like crazy inflated. 250,000 what? Bro, get the heck out of here. You put all your manuscripts together, you couldn't get 250,000 surahs. Forget Qur'ans. Guys, remember the challenge. Remember the challenge. And he's going to say some really, really stupid things in the next few minutes, right? Remember the challenge. One complete Quran manuscript in the first 800 years of Islam. I'll give you till 1400 AD. Give me one. Suckers.
Over how many years?
Manuscripts.
Over how many years?
Over all years.
Oh, fine. Well, there are far more for the New Testament than
there's
the 25,000 that I talked about. Over all the years. Yeah, there are far more.
There's no. For Christianity, for the Bible, there's 5,800 in the Greek language. There's 25,000 in total over the past, 2,000 plus years. The Qur'an over the past 1,400 years has 250,000.
You've got
Wait. Now we have goofball number 3 claiming there's 250,000 Quran manuscripts. Bro, this is a growing sect of Islam.
That's
in Arabic.
Only 25
in the Arabic language
of the New
specifically.
Testament over the
That's
past
in
2,000
total.
years.
In
I know
total.
This is a debacle. Okay,
That's
our
false.
next clip is
Yes,
coming.
25,000.
that's false. Totally false.
What's
There are
false?
so many manuscripts over the past 2,000 years for the New
Watch this-
Testament. It's
watch,
incredible.
watch what Libiano
Okay,
says.
brother, we're not okay. So obviously, after the printing press comes,
Yeah.
that doesn't count anymore.
Oh, yes, it does.
What the printing press counts as manuscripts?
In the same way that you're using it, yes.
No, we're not.
No,
I'm
no, no, no.
saying
When we say
before the
250,000.
printing press.
Exactly.
Well, you're just talking about handwritten. Is that what you want? Handwritten instead of
Yes.
printing press?
Yes.
We have 250,000.
Handwritten manuscripts of the Quran.
We have
Hey,
There's
250,000
so many
manuscripts of the Quran.
manuscripts handwritten in
not-
the New
not
Testament.
only-
It's incredible over the past 2,000 years.
Not only that, Cliff, we have full Qur'ans from the 1st century of the Prophet.
Bro, he claimed it. He claimed it. Bro, did Orthodox Muslim, did this goofball, Libiano, did he not just say that they have a full Quran? Notice he didn't say complete Quran manuscript. What he means by a full Quran, this snaky liar, sniveling snake liar, what he means is he's got a piece of this and a piece of that and a piece of this and 10, 15 other pieces that you can all put together and they overlap and make one complete Quran. That's what he means. But you don't have one single Quran manuscript in the first 8 centuries, guys. 800 years. Forget the 1st century. Let's jump over to we'll jump over a minute, right?
That wasn't
Down
that
to
was
one
not.
guy,
Yeah.
Zayd ibn Thabit, who's making the standardized Quran.
Yeah. So, Corey, you wanted to say something there?
Yeah, no.
So listen, guys, when we hit Islam and Muslims with their history, we got to get it right.
Yeah.
He got the names right, but he got the story kind of convoluted. Listen, their stories are all convoluted enough. We can't add to that convolute. We can't add to the mess, right? You got to kind of sort of get the stories right, right? So what happens is there's this Khalifa named Uthman. He realizes that Islam is full of a million different Qur'ans. Okay, first of all, their problem, and remember that he said this, that they have the Quran complete, written in the 1st century. Remember he said that, because that's going to contradict what Islam says, because they say they have an oral tradition. This was memorized, right? And passed down generation after generation. And the Korra is going to come back and say some really stupid things, right? So this gets memorized and passed down generation after generation. Now, later on, Uthman, he realizes these guys are reciting the Quran in so many different ways. And so he collects the Quran from all over the world, brings it to the central location wherever he's ruling as a caliph of Islam, right? And he burns all of it except the one Zayd bin Thabit is reciting. So he takes his Quran from Zayd bin Thabit. Now here's the problem. Muhammad said take it from these 4 guys. Who? Abdullah ibn Masud, Ubay bin Ka'b, Salim, and Muad. None of those names sound like Zayd bin Thabit. Zayd bin Thabit was a little baby when Muhammad was alive. There's no way that Zayd bin Thabit would know the Quran better than the 4 guys that Muhammad said you have to take the Quran from them. These 4. Now, one of them, Abdullah ibn Masud, was actually, he was attacked and his ribs were broken. And he was thrown out of the building and beaten such that his ribs were broken. One of the 4 guys appointed by Muhammad, when he protested the Quran recitation of Zayd bin Thabit, this guy appointed by Muhammad was physically attacked and his ribs busted. Right. So this is an old man at that time. Uthman is an old man at that time. Uthman orders his servants to pick up this old man, one of the four, from Muhammad, to physically throw him out of the building and beat him such that his ribs cracked. And then he takes the Quran from this other little, who was a baby in the time of Muhammad, Zayd ibn Thabit. Now, here's the problem. Ubay bin Ka'b had 111 chapters in the Quran. Abdullah ibn Masud, I believe, I may have it backwards, had Ubay bin Ka'b had 116 chapters. Ibn Masud had 111 chapters. Zayd bin Thabit has 114 chapters. So how do you, even the four that Muhammad said to take it from them, they didn't agree on the Quran. And then he goes to a fifth guy who's not even approved by Muhammad, Zayd bin Thabit, and he takes the Quran from them. You can't tell me that you have anything about the Quran right. In the time of Muhammad, it was all jacked up. Go ahead.
And what Pew said, that's only one history that they have within their own tradition line. That's only one tradition line.
Yes. That's the crazy part.
Because they have conflicting sources. And those sources, by the way, were deemed and ruled as trustworthy.
Yes.
By their isnad science.
Yeah.
Right? So okay, if you're going to pick one of those traditions, why do you pick that one over the other one? Because you have no criteria.
Exactly.
He used the word epistemic or to do with epistemology. He has no epistemic criteria to pick one over the other. Because if he picks one over the other, you have to say the other Salafi members of the Salaf were wrong. You have four. General Hudhaifa apparently went to a place of worship, saw that the worshippers divided in that place. It was the reciters of Ibn Masud stood in one corner and the others recited theirs in another corner, and they were different. So he went back to Uthman and said, this needs to be solved because everyone is reciting different things. So what does Uthman do? He commissions Zayd. Zayd says this is a monumental task. Hold up. Why is it a monumental task if it's an oral tradition that comes first? Imagine I teach 4 people a recitation. By the way, this would be in the Quraysh dialect. One dialect. So you can't use the whole Qira'at and different dialect stuff. No. One dialect. This is one dialect that was disseminated to 4 people directly by the Prophet.
Yeah.
Okay, all I need to do is to go find those people and then tell them to recite. All I'm doing is recording. Yet that was not what Zayd had to do. He had to get it from palm stalks, from stones, from parchments, from the chests of men. He had to go get Hafsa's codex.
Yeah.
And Hafsa's codex, there's another tradition that says, why does she have the possession of the codex? Why did Umar, the second caliph, give that to Hafsa instead of Uthman when Umar died?
Because it's his daughter.
Right, but a woman shouldn't have a possession of that.
Right.
Again, so depending on the different traditions that you pick, they all conflict each other and they all present their own horns of the dilemma.
Yeah.
So don't ever let a Muslim present to you one unified history. Their own sources say completely different things that conflict with each other. It's an oral tradition. Okay, one tradition says that Zayd ibn Thabit was Muhammad's personal scribe. Why does he need a scribe if it was all oral?
Right.
So you have codices that were written during the lifetime of Muhammad.
Right.
Then you have people like Umar being afraid that certain verses in the Quran, like the one about stoning for adultery, would go missing, and yet that's not in the Quran today. Again, do not let them present a unified history, because even amongst Muslims, they argue about this all the time. Why do you think Shias and Sunnis go at it? They all reconstruct history to match their tradition line. Was Ali there and present with Uthman when he was deciding all these things, or wasn't he? What's going on there?
Right. It's craziness. Keep listening, because in the next few moments, Libiano, he's a character, bro.
But that wasn't Zayd ibn Thabit. But
You
the
need to show
point that TOM, our brother over here, is making is, okay, we have the entirety of the Qur'an within 100 years of the life of the.
No, you don't, liar. Prove it. Now,
Also, which Quran? According, by the way, according to their own scholars, the Sana'a one, do they not realize it has two layers of text, the lower layer and the higher layer, because there were erasures, corrections.
Yeah.
The lower layer, which is referred to as C1, and the higher layer, which is what they call the Uthmanic text. They have so many divergences in number and magnitude, and that's what Gudhazi and Sadhegi, who are both traditionalists, say. Muslims, by the way.
What's these crazy claims? See, so once you get these guys excited and goaded up, right? They understand that Stuart and Cliff are not very knowledgeable about much of this, right? Cliff and Stuart, they're good with the gospel. Present the gospel to somebody, present the love of God to somebody, present, who Jesus is to somebody. They're good with that. But then you bring in the Qur'an manuscripts and Zayd ibn Thabit and Uthman, and our guys that's not their forte. And you see this look on this goofy's face? He's excited.
Drooling.
He's excited. Now, once he gets excited, the wild claims that he makes, they go up like 10 notches. The stupidity that's about to come out of his mouth, watch this. Bro, I mean, who would make a claim like this? Just Google the statement that he makes, and Google will laugh at you. That's how stupid this stuff is.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How many manuscripts do we have in the first century?
We weren't talking about standards. So what you're talking about is the standardization process of the Quran. When Uthman came with the Council of the Companions, right? That's another point. Now we're talking on manuscripts. Manuscripts alone, we have complete Quranic copies, the top copy Quran. And
Wait. The top copy is a complete Quran? Since when? Did they find the rest of the... What? The top copy is a what?
Turkey, we have complete copies, the Sana'a Quran.
Wait. The Sana'a? Does he not know that would actually be like two Qurans? One erased?
Two divergent Qurans.
One erased and the corrected one. That's a great one. You get two Qurans in one manuscript. Like, bro, who doesn't know this now? Those that know, don't take these positions because you're gonna get spanked. Your tail is going to go home red. No Muslim that comes against somebody that is knowledgeable, even a little bit, is going to say these stupid things that he just said. The top copy is a complete Quran. The Sana'a? Like, what are we saying right now? Like, does your Quran match the top copy? Does the Quran that you read match the top copy? Let me give you a hint. No, it doesn't. Okay. So if your Quran doesn't match the top copy, should you even bring it up? Should you even claim it as a Quranic manuscript? Shouldn't you say that that's some corruption that the Shia or the Ahmadi or some other Ubudi, Gabudi came up with? You should, because if you're going to claim that the top copy is a Quranic manuscript representing what Muhammad gave to his people, then the Quran that you have is the corrupted one. The two don't match. Which one is corrupted, goofies?
Yep. And why is the older text, the lower text, have commonalities with different of the 4 companion codices? I know we don't have access to all of them, but even with the Ibn Masud one. So you have a process of redaction that's on top of a process of redaction. Now, those companion codices also have provenance that goes back to where they got it from. So you have another process of redaction.
Yeah. Another murder redaction.
Hello? You can say you have 2 million manuscripts. I don't care. If your manuscripts all copy erroneous things, you've just multiplied error. And this is something that, again, I've seen Christians trip up on. You can even grant them that the Uthmanic tradition preserves everything since Uthman. What about the first 3 generations? It's a complete black hole that even amongst themselves they argue. They have entire sects dedicated to differences that happened during that time.
Yeah. Having Uthman standardize the Quran, it's still a problem, guys. Let's not see, this is where Stuart and Cliff, they just need to hang out, watch our videos, bro. Just watch our videos. Listen, if Uthman standardized the Quran, then how do you still have 37 Arabic Qurans? How the heck is one Quran end up as 30? Bro, you have a problem with the Trinity where 3 is 1. But according to you, 37 is 1, and you don't have a problem. How are 37 different writing on the pages, Arabic Qurans, right? It's not how you say it. It's not your accent. It's not your dialect. It's not your none of that. It's actually written different, right? The writing on the page is different. Like some manuscripts are complete opposites of each other. One says Allah's going to do something. The other one says Allah's not going to do it. Like, it's not dialects, guys. You have 37 different Qurans, and yet it's only one to you? Bro, you should be like big supporters of the Trinity. Like, what the heck? The top copy.
That are complete within the prophets, 100 years within the prophet. You know what you have from the first
100 years of the prophet, they have a complete Quran. Can you please post it? Can you please just present it somewhere? Somebody.
100 years of Jesus? 0, nothing. You know what you have from the first 200 years of Jesus? A small credit card size manuscript.
Okay, can we stop?
John that has 7.
So he's jumping, but yeah, he's jumping through so many different things. Because when it comes to dating old texts, there's different methodologies, and you need to use all of them. There's the codicology, there's paleology, all of these things, right? Then there's the actual script that's being used itself. What style is that in? One thing that people tend to do is conflict discovery of a manuscript with the time that the contents were actually written.
Yeah.
Just because P52 was discovered and dated to that time does not mean that that text was written at that time. This is just primitive. It's foundational. Obviously, we don't apply the same standard to them, but the difference is they claim something so early that obviously you can't have a manuscript before Muhammad. Which, by the way, again, it's what the revisionist scholars, there's a few that go to demonstrate that you have Quranic texts prior to Muhammad, which, again, is another whole can of worms that they need to reconcile with. But the point is that one of them is, don't conflate date of discovery with the time that is written. Second, what he's talking about is parchments and things like that. Right? One, they don't have a long shelf life. Papyrus has much less. By the time of Muhammad in the 6th, 7th century, parchments were widely more available to them than it was in the 1st century.
Right.
So obviously you're not going to expect to see as many in the 1st century as you would in the 7th century. That's just insane to think that. Now think about all the costs that went into creating and then maintaining and doing it. That's one thing. So understanding the material itself, the limitations of the material. So therefore, we can say with reason why there were less at that time than there are at Muhammad's time. You're comparing apples to oranges. The second thing is that we need to keep in mind that these traditions existed in two completely different political systems. When Christianity exploded, it was done under oppression. When the political system was against them, you had to carry whatever precious manuscript that you had, that you copied, in secret. You couldn't show it to people. You had to keep it secret, hide it in your house. If a Roman soldier found out at the time, you'd be killed. This was during the time of Nero. All of this had to be done secretively. However, when it comes to the time of Muhammad, Quranic codices, they didn't need to be kept secret. These things were actual treasures during that time for everyone. There was no system of oppression upon them. If you had a Quran, great. Two completely different systems. All of these things need to be considered, yet they are comparing these two things like they were the same thing.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that the Stuart and Cliffe needed to have pointed out.
Well, here, let me play for you what they did say.
Okay.
And this is why I call it a debacle, right? Because it's not just lies and wild claims from the Muslims. It's these crazy concessions from our side. Listen,
You missed my whole point. I never made that comparison.
There was a comparison that there was a comparison that was made.
Well, I'm sorry, I miscommunicated. I have never, in my memory, made a comparison. I've always maintained the Quran is very accurate, very reliable historically.
Whoa!
What did he just say, bro? This pile of garbage that we call the Quran, it's reliable, it's historic. What? It's accurate, reliable, historically. Bro, you can't use these words in the same sentence with the Quran. There's no such thing. This is not Islamophobia or some kind of hate speech. This is just facts. The Quran is not reliable by any stretch of the imagination. The Quran is not preserved. It's not accurate. It's not historically anything. What did our guys just say? I mean, how do you argue back out of this hole that you just dug?
Represents Muhammad very accurately.
Good.
The Quran represents Muhammad very accurately. Bro, the Quran barely mentions Muhammad. Like the Quran talks about Jesus about 100 times. The Quran mentions one woman by name, the mother of Jesus. The Quran mentions Muhammad 3 plus 1 Ahmed, so 4 times. Like, he just gave up the farm, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Listen, we concede nothing because they can prove 0 of their claims. I guarantee you, these yappers that you see on the bottom are nothing but liars, nothing but just crazy claims. That's crazy. What did I just hear, bro?
I have been saying that the Gospels are also very historically reliable, and you
We
get
can
a
talk about
very
that.
accurate historical
Good.
picture of Jesus from the Gospels.
He goes to Jesus. Bro, instead of pounding, instead of just decimating Islam, pick a topic, guys. Listen, guys, you don't need to have broad knowledge and in-depth knowledge. You just pick one topic and get good at it. That's all you really need. Pick one guy, one thing. Muhammad, Quran, Allah, wife beating, child marriage. Pick one thing, guys. Like my new shtick right now is Islam is polytheist. You know what? Next podcast, next Monday, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how Islam is polytheist. Islam is a mushrik religion. And I'm going to show you in a short, sweet, simple, and silly way how Islam is polytheist. From inside Islam, it's so simple, guys. Just pick one thing. Once you get confident presenting that one point, then you pick up another one. You get 3 points, it's game over. They will run from you. They don't want to talk to you no more. Next Monday, guys, listen. Next Monday, we're going to talk about how Islam teaches that Islam is a polytheist religion. You know how they tell you we're the only monotheist? Mumbo jumbo, bro. Bunch of hogwash. They're polytheists, and I'll show it to you from Islam. Such a simple thing. Mushrik.
Now, within those two, we have a contradiction. What is the identity of Christ? Is he just a prophet, or is he God in human?
Why are you bringing it to your doorstep, guys? You're not going to convince. Look at this goofball right here. You see this guy? That goofy looking dude, he ain't going to take a single thing you're saying. He don't care what you have to say about is Jesus God. Look at this one, undercover. You should look up the videos recently where she tried to go undercover. Undercover girl goes undercover. Bro, you undercover already. Listen, these guys, stop telling them Jesus loves them. They're just laughing at you. Show them that Allah is shaitan. That's when you grab their attention. Allah is shaitan, the devil himself.
I don't know at this point what their move would be. So, because first, they concede that you can do comparison, right? Your numbers versus my numbers. Except I've explained that two different systems altogether, you can't compare them as easily as they're making out, at least. Two, he just said that their tradition is reliable. Okay, then from that, he goes to now trying to explicate his tradition, which says that Jesus is God. I don't understand how, though. If you've already conceded that their tradition produces something reliable, and you've conceded that the numbers they were thrown out there is sound and reliable, then you've put yourself into the same category. They have better stats, and now you are going back and then trying to say that the Bible shows that Jesus is God, when you've already conceded that their stats exceed. How I don't understand what their game plan is at this point.
They want to present the gospel, and somehow, boom, you're going to be a Christian. Bro, it doesn't work like this. It doesn't work like that.
I think people greatly misunderstand the role of polemics. People think that human beings are just naturally neutral recipients of truth. That the only criteria that is required to believe a thing is for them to understand that it is true. That's never been the case. Read Romans, the first 3 chapters. Paul makes it very clear. People don't believe something because it's true. They believe things because they want to believe it.
Or
I will deny
them.
that one Right. I will deny that 1 + 1 = 2 if saying that it actually equals 3 benefits my life more.
Exactly. Exactly. And that right there is what you're seeing
Making though,
evidence, right?
the point that I was
right,
making is that you said
shut up. These two will say whatever it takes to benefit their side. And you stop being gullible, stop being naive. They're making you guys look like goofballs. They're laughing at you guys. You think you're the nice guy. You think you're the Christ-like person. In a way you are, but you're not, because Christ won't do this. Christ is not going to sit there and say that Muhammad is respectable. Christ is not going to say the Qur'an is reliable and historically accurate. What the heck are you guys doing right now? Oh, sorry. I might have.
that if
Let's
we
see what
find
this is.
more manuscripts within a tradition, we're going to find more variants.
Yes.
That's the point
We're
that
saying,
Likely.
we're saying that we have 10 times
Wait,
more
hold up. Go
and
go
less-
back a little. Go back just a little. What?
Yeah.
I remember actually making a note about this.
Of the Quran? Oh, I have no idea.
Yes, with variants within the Quranic manuscripts, significantly less. So how come?
Okay,
if we
but
have,
wait. I didn't
if
say.
we have,
I
wait,
didn't
hold
say
on.
just because you have. I didn't say just because you have more variants. No. I was speaking positively about variants.
No, the point
No,
that I was
okay.
making though, the point that I was making is that you said that if we find
I get it.
more manuscripts within a tradition, we're going to find more variants.
Yes.
That's the point
We're
that you
saying-
make.
No.
We're saying that we have 10 times
No,
more
no.
manuscripts
And less
10
variants.
Bro. And then here comes the Libiano. Bro, you don't got no 10 times more manuscripts, and you definitely don't got no 10 times less variants. Look at this goofball, man.
By the way, this is what they should have mentioned again, because they've already conceded that they're comparing apples to apples. They don't have any recourse to object to this. But the problem,
They literally said the Quran is reliable and historically accurate. How do you counter Libiano, goofball, when he says he has 10 times more manuscripts and 10 times fewer variants? You have to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right. But the question that we can ask if we don't concede those ridiculous points is that why is there less variants then? It's because it's a political religion. You were killed if you wrote anything different. What are you talking about? Yeah. Less variants. Also, you were only allowed to write it in a single language. What are you talking about?
That's if we ignore 37 different Qur'ans.
Right, exactly. So pick the level. You can criticize it at any of them, but you've just given away the whole farm, like PewPew said. What recourse do you have now?
Craziness. Guys, if you're not knowledgeable about Islam, please stick to what you're good at. Please.
Do apologetics.
Now, yes, apologetics, evangelism, exhortation. There's a million things you could be doing, guys, that you are good at. Stop making a crazy mess. Now we got to come back. You know, the rest of us have to come back and clean up after this. This is crazy. And we haven't even gotten to the theology. We're an hour and a half into this, and we haven't even gotten to the crazy things that were said theologically.
We're still simply on the historicity part, and Libiano makes the wild statement, and I think the Muslim apologetic made it as well in the debate on the way with Brian De Villa. They don't need to prove historicity of the Quran. So what are you guys arguing about? Again, these are things that Stuart and Cliffe have not locked them in on.
But they don't know to. Their folk, listen, this is their heart. This is what they're called to do, to present the gospel. But that's not here, guys. I know it sounds radical. I know it sounds like that can't be from God, that you're saying don't present the gospel here. But I'm saying that, guys. I'm saying that because right now you're throwing pearls before swine. You're literally bringing into reality what Christ said. You throw pearls before swine. What do? They trample the pearls, and then they come and turn on you. Right. This is what's happening. If it's swine, you don't throw pearls there. Let's completely change the game, take control of the conversation, dismantle Islam, destroy the shaitan that is Allah and shaitan's messenger that is Muhammad. Just dismantle all of that, decimate it, and now that they have not the swine in them, now that they're not in the pig pen, just wallowing in the mud, now let's present the gospel. You'll see a radical difference. Radical difference. This is crazy. Like, let's say our guys, Cliffe and Stuart, present the gospel amazing right now. What does it mean? You already conceded their book is good and you respect their prophet. Why would they leave their book and their prophet now? Who cares what you have to say? Let's go. I want to go to that 42. Oh, what's this guy? What's this goofball?
Less the variants. Why? Because we have a single family text. You don't.
They have a single family text. Like, what the heck does that even mean, bro? You got 37 Arabic Qur'ans. What do you mean you got single family text? If you have one text, right? You can't have variants like that. You can't have Arabic bringing out 37 different Arabic Qur'ans. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. These are not arguments that these guys will ever bring to us. Like where we are on the servers that we're on, they don't bring these kind of stupid statements to us because they know we're going to wipe the floor with them. They're not going to bring it to us. The reason they're bringing it to Cliffe and Stuart is because they already gauged that our guys are not knowledgeable about Islam. They don't know that the Qur'an is trash. Historically, just garbage. So let's jump up to, we'll see a few more. We may have to because that theology section is going to be crazy. Oh my goodness.
Too long. The more.
Well, I mean, you have one book, one author, one location, one language.
No, you don't have one book, one author, one location, one nothing, bro. Stop conceding crap that, bro, who told you Islam has one book? They have 37 books right now, and we may find more. Who told you they have one location? Who told you that Mecca even existed in the time for 100 years after Muhammad? Who told you this? Where do you get this information except from this kind of goofball?
Again, by the way, none of those things, even if you grant every single one of those things, says anything about the content and its truthfulness.
Yeah.
You can grant every single thing, and all you have to say, that just means that they all followed this person named Muhammad. It doesn't mean that anything he said was true. In fact, all it says is that everyone else in this tradition likes doing exactly what Muhammad liked to do. And you just needed an excuse to do it.
Yes. we gave them the farm, and we're trying to look for another factory or something to give them on top of that.
Hume's traditional authorship, which you haven't substantiated.
That's completely false. 98.8 supposedly percent of secular scholars believe that is correct.
Please let me finish, brother. No, they do not. You just made that up.
Yes, they do.
No, you just made that up.
You made up the 97%. We can just say made up.
At least, now listen, at least Stuart says some things, right?
Yeah.
At least Stuart calls them out and says, you just made up stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let's go a minute forward.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to go first? All right. Jesus supposedly, I want to go to this piece on Jesus. 0 prophecies fulfilled, but more so specifically, I want to skip that one and go straight to, let's go before manuscripts. Let's go to when Muhammad got his revelation. Supposedly he got it when he was manic, or he was totally out of it. Namus had to keep, supposedly a lot of Muslims have told me, you can disagree, it depends on
manic?
fundamentalists. Supposedly Namus, for example,
sorry,
kept,
what does that
kept
mean?
Muhammad. Well, no, I'll get there. I'll just finish this question.
What's manic? I want to know what is that?
He was depressed, manically depressed. He was out of his mind.
Okay, so I think that's pretty. It's fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking the question. I've read that. I mean, that's understood.
I don't think our sources say manic anyway, but it's fine. Continue.
Out of his mind. Okay,
whatever you say that either.
Whatever you want to use.
Continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's then talk about, if you don't like the manuscripts.
Yeah. Hey, how about, Stuart, if you had known that their sources say that he tried to commit suicide 3 times, tried to jump off the cliff 3 times, that he would have epileptic seizures and he would foam at the mouth, right? That he would have all kinds of issues that may be physiological, may be psychological, may be demonic. I believe all of the above, right? But how about we shut this kid down when he tries to tell us that his books don't say these things? His books do say these things. This is what I'm saying. All you got to know is pick like one topic and stick to it, and then get a second one, a third one. 3 topics, and you're like deadly to them. Right? 3 simple topics. If we jump from this topic to that topic to that topic, and you're all over the plate, that's exactly what they want you to do. That's exactly what they want you to do. You grab them, pin their tail to one spot, and don't let them move. I call it hyper-focusing. You hyper-focus on that one point. Here's the thing with Islam. If one thing falls, everything falls. Because the word of Allah cannot be wrong, right? Because it's dictated. It's not even like plenary inspiration or any of that stuff. This is dictation. You can't have one single letter off.
Remember, their prophets can't commit major sins.
Yeah. Well,
they cannot
Well, here's why they don't commit major sins. When they do commit major sins, it suddenly becomes not a sin.
Right. So all you have to do is pick something that shows that. Plenty of topics.
I'm telling you, just random pick a topic and ask us. We'll show you how to dismantle Islam on that, using that one topic. That's why I'm asking you broad questions like, give me one thing that you can say Muhammad was respectable about. One thing, just pick one thing. I promise you cannot. Their own books will testify against you. Claim it. Make the claim that Muhammad is respectable on any point. And I will bring you the hadith or the ayah that says you're wrong. Make the claim about the Qur'an. Make the claim about morality. Make the claim about historicity. Make the claim about anything. logic. Bro, pick a topic. Ay, ay, ay. Let's go to just a couple of seconds ahead. We're at 45, huh? Actually, we're gonna jump up to 47, huh? Watch one of the topics. This is how they operate, right?
Said, well, who am I gonna trust? The Prophet Muhammad, who comes in the 7th century, or am I gonna trust the sources? Well, it depends on your epistemology and in what lens you're asking the question. If you're asking me as a Muslim who's already independently substantiated the truthfulness of the
What?
He's done what?
Independently substantiated the claims of the Quran.
And therefore,
Quran, then whatever the Quran says is metaphysically necessarily to be true.
Like, what the heck did he just look at? The jump and the leap and the face plant is what he did, right? But he's using bigger words, hoping that most of his Muslim audience are just, wow, this guy's smart. He's saying words I can't even spell, right? But listen, what did he just say? He's independently substantiated the claims of his book. Like, okay, how? Like, what does that mean? Like, what are you talking about right now?
Right.
And what is independent substantiation? As opposed to another kind of substantiation?
But again, you can substantiate something. It doesn't mean that it's true.
Yeah.
It just means that you've exculpated the point.
Right.
I don't know what he's just throwing words out like AI and hoping something sticks.
Yeah. For his audience, he's like, they're all like, wow, right now. I mean, they can't even close their mouth. They're like, oh. You ever seen Kung Fu Panda? Those little guys that they're just, wow. That's what's happening with the Muslim audience right now. They heard all these big words, bro. You know what? We'll call him Poe. I think I got a name for him. Poe.
He does remind me of Poe.
Doesn't he? Look at him. Bro, my goodness.
If you're asking me from a historical perspective, if I want to find out about the life of a person, then the Quran has no play because the Quran is not a historical document about Jesus. But
hold up. So then what has he substantiated independently? What is that to substantiate?
Wait. So the claims of the Quran about Jesus is not historical? Is not historically accurate? Is that what he's saying? Did he just say, let's go back. Let's listen. Let's give him a fair shake. This guy, every time he opens his mouth, where are we at? 47:28, huh? We'll go back.
Life of a person, then the Quran has no play because the Quran is not a historical document about Jesus.
Historical document about Jesus. Listen, what does that mean? That the historical claims made in the Quran about Jesus, I don't know, something like making little birds come alive, clay birds come alive. I don't know, the way he was conceived in Mary's womb. So none of this is historical?
So he's saying it's metaphysically true, but not historically true. Does he know what metaphysics is?
Listen, I don't know if we can call him Poe, because Poe by the end of the movie, he comes out on top. Look at this. Look at this guy. This guy is a buffoon, man. What is he saying? Metaphysically true, but historically not accurate. That's something. That's something.
While
right
he's
there.
independently substantiated those claims.
Yes.
Which makes everything metaphysically true.
He might have meant metaphorically.
Metaphorically true in the whole sense that it's all made up.
Our guys are like, what the heck is this guy saying? look at our guys, bro. Oh my goodness.
They're like, oh no, what do we say?
Let's jump into that. If we assess the earliest documents about the historical Christ, which historical Jesus scholars like Geza Verne,
sorry, again.
What's this guy?
What is this historical Christ mumbo jumbo about?
Jesus seminar.
Right, exactly. But he'd have to deny a fundamental metaphysical truth that he himself has just said he subscribes to, which is that such a thing as divine revelation exists, the supernatural exists. All of these things he'd have to deny to use the term historical Jesus.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're letting him use that against the Christians? Call him out on it. Don't people get scared when this whole like scholarship thing comes up, when he's talking about Q and when you start talking about the historical Jesus? Bro, just turn around and say it's rubbish.
It's absolute garbage. I think I've said it. I forgot when I said it. Listen, just look up a guy named Ben Witherington III.
Yeah, that's a good book.
Find his book. He decimates all of it. Listen, the whole Jesus seminar, this historical Jesus mumbo jumbo, garbage. It was debunked. It is now 3 decades ago. 3 decades ago, this conversation ended. These dumb butts left with their heads hanging in shame. It was garbage. It remains garbage. But guess what? The Muslims stumbled upon this whole controversy of the late 80s and 90s. Right. And they're like, wow, Christians said this? They weren't Christians. I challenge that. A guy that doesn't believe in the supernatural, you're not a Christian, bro. I don't care what you think you are. A guy that doesn't take the word of God as the word of God, you're not a Christian, bro. I don't care what you think you are. Right? So these goofballs run into this whole controversy, pick up the books from these idiots of the Jesus seminar. They're like, wow, look at this. They said this historical Jesus never existed. Wow, the historical Jesus, the historical, and the Gospels? Bro, there's a Q document. Bro, shut the heck up, man. All of this was garbage that was debunked.
Yeah, one good rebuttal to this is the second you hear that, especially if it's a Muslim, ask them, do you believe in the supernatural or not? If they say yes, which they have to, they cannot use the historical Jesus as a defeater. Yes. Because one of the starting premises is there is no such thing as supernatural. So prophecy cannot exist.
Yes. And that's part of the thing, part of what these goofball Libiano, I don't know if I got that in the timestamps. I might have skipped over it because there's so much stupid that was said, right? Our guys made the claim at some point that there were 40 authors. I think this is back when he said one book, one location, one yada yada, right? And our guys said, well, we have 66 books, 40 authors, 3 continents, etc., right? And then Libiano challenges it and said, wait. Well, that's if you don't take into account that there's multiple Isaiahs. Well, the reason that they claim stupid stuff like that is because they deny the prophetic. There's no way Isaiah could have prophesied Cyrus. So that had to have been written by a disciple of Isaiah, after Cyrus shows up. So you see what I'm saying? Those that deny God And the word of God, the supernatural, the prophetic, the miraculous, those are the ones that come up with these stupid claims. Cue Jesus seminar. Right. And these goofballs, they love to bring that up, even though if you press them on it, they have to concede, yo, I can't take those starting points either. Which means the whole Jesus seminar is garbage and out the window. They can't use any material from there. Man, we haven't even gotten to the theology. Maybe we'll have to. Maybe next week. How about this? Guys, teaser. We're gonna hit the theology part of this for a few minutes next week. Might end up being like half an hour or more because there was so much stupid stuff spoken, right? And then I do want to show you the simple, easy way to prove to a Muslim that they're polytheists. I promise you, you will shut their mouth because it's going to come straight from their own stuff. No Christian input, no Jewish input, no philosophy or logic or none of this extra stuff you have to bring in. They could be dumb as a box of rocks and understand this basic argument. You will shut their mouth. So let's finish up what we can of this goofy, and then we'll go to let me jump over to, I hear this claim all the time.
Jesus was crucified and resurrected on the third day, or the Qur'an that denies his crucifixion, and you already presuppose that the Bible is written by eyewitnesses who lived and walked with Jesus, then I'm just going to put.
Do these people know how historical documents work? Do we understand what history is? If you accept Alexander the Great as a historical figure, you have to accept Jesus as a historical, real-life figure that walked this planet. And when we take evidences, right, to be historical, we're not saying that I was there and I saw Matthew write it. That's not what we're saying. Nobody can do that. In fact, I think Stuart alludes to that kind of, sort of. I wish he was a little bit clearer and drove the point home. We don't have proof, undeniable proof. Nobody has that because none of us were there. We don't have video evidence and this and that. And all we have are written documents.
By the way, even on that, even if you have a chain of provenance, right? Because much later, even in the Quranic tradition, they started writing colophons inside their manuscript, which is just basically, I did this at this time, the scribe's name, etc. That doesn't prove anything. Just because you can trace or have a supposed trace back to something, it doesn't mean that actually happened. That's a whole different field altogether. Yeah. I don't think people recognize that. For one thing, autobiography does not give something a level of credence that you think it does. Just because that something wasn't signed, oh, I did this, and the people that took that and came after them also kept a record and a ledger of it came from this, it came from this, it came from this. Preserved for us doesn't mean that, one, that didn't exist, and two, it corroborates the content of what was transmitted. Those are two very different things.
Yes. And they definitely don't want these same standards being applied to the Quran.
Exactly.
Who the freak wrote the Quran? Give me the name of the guy who put this on paper. And don't tell me no daggum Uthman. Who put this on paper? Because before Uthman, There were many Qur'ans because obviously Uthman burned a bunch of copies. So it's already on paper. And now Uthman is saying this copy is the one we're all going to use. Well, that doesn't mean Uthman wrote it or Zayd ibn Thabit wrote it. Who put that copy into writing? Who wrote it? You can't name it.
Yeah, remember where you're getting this historical account from as well. It's from the traditions, the Hadiths, that come in the 8th century, about 150 to 160 years after the death of Muhammad.
Yes.
These people are saying what happened 150 years prior to them.
Yes.
And you're telling me that it's reliable because of the Isnad chain. How does the Isnad chain start? The Prophet and his companions cannot err, so therefore they are trustworthy. Come on. What independent substantiation are you running on this? How are you doing this, by the way? To show that it is metaphysically true? Just saying words. Oh, he used the big word, epistemology. Hello?
Independently substantiated, so it's metaphysically necessary. Bro, shut your mouth, boy. My goodness. They fall for it. Let's go up to 50, minute 50.
Well, then, yes, you would have a problem. But most historians would say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, according to the dating, most likely those are correct.
No, okay, so we don't have a problem with the traditional dating. It's consensus.
We don't. What do we have here, guys? Somebody should clip it. Somebody send that clip to God Logic or somebody, right? Because that's gonna be a hammer that you can use over this guy's head. We don't have a problem with the traditional dating. He's conceding this so he can try to wiggle another topic. Don't forget this concession.
Yeah, and it'll come into play immediately what he says now.
Mark was written 65 to 70. It's consensus that Luke and Matthew were written 80 to 85.
No, wait, that's not the
consensus?
traditional timing. What? That's not the traditional timing. The traditional
what
timing is
consensus?
actually all of this is prior to 70 AD, because none of them make mention of a monumental shift in their culture, in their religion, in their entire worldview, which is the destruction of the temple. Philippines is dated to what? What's the conservative? Let's give it a 10 extra years. 50 AD. Where is he getting the traditional? What?
Even the Jesus seminar doesn't say. Well, a couple of guys here and there, they were all over the place, right?
Yeah, they were not unified.
But if you're going to go with consensus, if you're going to go or like a median or a majority, right? Bro, they weren't saying 70, 80 AD. Because what are they saying? That Mark, Luke, and Matthew, somebody was copying off of each other. And now each of these so-called scholars are coming up with different theories about who's actually the first one. And then you have the Q, which predates all of them, right? So listen, you can't have Matthew copying Mark or Mark copying Matthew, and then Luke, they both copied Luke. All kinds of theories were thrown around. You can't have this if two of them clearly followed Mark by 20 years. That's a stupid thing to say. Stop saying consensus.
And remember how he's measuring consensus. He's lumping all these different people into one group. Except their own scholars reject that notion. Right? Yeah. If you present an academic paper against anything in their worldview, what do they? Oh, he's just an Orientalist.
Yeah.
In other words, the traditionalists, if you take a consensus on what they view, the traditionalists have the traditional view. If you take the view of the skeptics, which is another category, then the skeptics give a skeptical view. And if you take a consensus of the revisionists, they give it a revisionist. What? Hello? So for us, you're lumping them all together, but for you, you're perfectly fine keeping them in that separate division.
Yeah.
And then taking consensus based on that division.
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing. The traditionalist Christians, conservative Christians, have a consensus that the datings of these books are prior to 70 AD. That's the consensus. And now he's going to go to, well, the Jesus seminar says otherwise. The skeptics, the atheists, it's a consensus among them. How is this how we're doing statistics now? Mind-blowing. Hypocrisy.
It is ridiculous. What's this goofy? Our undercover agent is gonna say some really important things.
Of Allah. Some believe he was.
Because we have a
Some believe he was
direct.
an
That's a good question. That's a good question. Because
Prove
we
it.
have a direct chain of transmission all the way from the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, going name to name to name to name to name, all the way up to Muhammad, peace be upon him, to the angel Gabriel. Do you have that for the Bible?
No,
Wait.
you don't. No,
She
you
is
don't.
claiming this about the Quran, guys, not the Hadiths. She's claiming this about the Quran.
Not even with the
No.
hadiths.
Now, Goofball realizes she just screwed up, and he's going to jump in to save her. But our guys don't know she screwed up. Guys, it was a slam dunk. It was a home run.
That is completely false.
Wait, answer the question. Do you have that for the Bible?
That is completely
Wait,
false.
yeah, it's not completely false.
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean by
You
chain
can
to
pull it
chain?
up right now.
What do you mean by chain to chain?
I'll,
though?
Wait,
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what we mean.
Yeah, hey, shut your pie hole, man. What you mean? What are you saying that we have an isnad for the Quran that goes from person to person to person to person all the way back to Muhammad sallallahu wasallam? Okay, I want to see this isnad. Let's examine this. What the heck are you trying to say right now?
It's got to make you wonder, what on earth was Uthman doing then? What was this whole business about getting rid of the other recitations and the other codices, burning all of them? I thought they had a direct line. Even before him, what was Umar doing? Why did he need a codex compiled?
Listen, after all of this is done, you're still stuck with a minimum of 37 different Qur'ans. What are you talking about? Give me the isnad for each one of these Qur'ans. You have a chain of narration for the Quran now? Bro, I need to see this. Here comes Savior. Poe. Our Kung Fu Panda. Here comes. He's going to save the day.
Yeah,
We
please.
mean that the Quran, not only was it preserved textually, but it was preserved orally. And for the oral transmission, we have
No.
a chain of transmission, teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher, from today all the way back to the companions, back to the messenger, back to Gabriel,
Nope.
back to God
Nope.
Almighty himself.
Nope. Again, let's start from the top. How do you know it was Gabriel or Jibreel? Because Muhammad said so. How do you know he gave it to those companions, and what companions? Because Muhammad said so. Where do you get that from? From tradition that comes 150 to 160 years after. And you have a chain going back further than that. What is your chain built upon? The fact that Muhammad and his companions can't err and they're trustworthy in their narration. Then why did the four that Muhammad picked to teach others differ in their recitations? Where is your verse of stoning? Why was Umar afraid that would be left out? And why don't you have it in there now? So many you pull on one thread, you get really good at pulling that one thread, the entire tapestry comes undone.
Hey, what about my favorite topic? Breastfeeding a guy that visits your house. According to Muhammad, when a guy that's not related to your wife comes to your house, your wife has to breastfeed him. A grown man with a beard has to be breastfed by your wife. Okay. So this commandment from Muhammad, right? Supposedly from Allah, is now missing from the Quran. But we have Sahih Hadiths for which we have good isnad, right? Chain of narration. We have Sahih Hadiths that tell us this was in the Quran. Bro, I need to know, because next week I got people coming over. We got to keep everything on the up and up, right? Follow the will of Allah. Somebody show us how this is done. Oh, guys, if you guys don't believe me, just look up, what's his name? Asim al-Hakim, Saudi Arabian sheikh, right?
The gift that keeps on giving.
Bro, that guy, he's something else. Just look him up on YouTube and look up the video for breastfeeding, adult breastfeeding. This is where Allah tells you, and he corroborates it. He says it's still in play. This rule, this law from Allah is still in play, even though the Quran doesn't have these verses. Who took these verses out?
And you can't tell me a single name that isn't Muhammad.
Yeah. Because if any other human being took it out, that means he's either a prophet or he's a corrupter of the Quran. Hi. So we're at 2 hours. I think we covered most of the basic stuff.
I think the historical part is what people, at least on our side, are really underdeveloped on. And I think it was good to go over this stuff.
Yes.
One thing is, by the way, if you're going to make the claims that we made, make sure you have the proof, the pictures, all of this stuff, because the Muslims are not going to have it. But if you ever hope to dismantle their worldview, make sure you have those sources. They're not hard to find. You know, there are plenty of books that.
Yes. Let me play one last clip, guys. Please do not make this mistake. Please do not let this type of mistake be repeated by our guys.
Have their hands cut off. They are not supposed to have sex with a 9-year-old girl, 12, or 12, or whatever.
Consummated.
All right.
Consummated at 9.
At 12. Consummated at 12. Well, like, what the heck just happened here? Why? Bro, please write stuff down if you're not sure. Listen, Muhammad married a 6-year-old and humped her. He mounted a baby at 9 years of age. Please don't make it a 12-year-old and then suddenly it's going to be 12.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
And then 15 now, and like the Shia, now it's suddenly 18. Literally, that's what the Shia try to say, that she was 15 when she got married and humped at 18. Right? Let's not make these mistakes, guys. The number of Sahih Hadiths that tell us she was 6 and consummated at 9 is ridiculous. There is no denying this. If you deny this, you cannot be a Sunni Muslim. Don't let them lie to you. Please don't make these kind of mistakes. What you mean 9 and then consummated at 12? Don't say stuff like that. You just like I said earlier, I don't like personal attacks on effective men that do great things for the kingdom of God, right? These guys do a tremendous job. I applaud them for what they do. But guys, Cliff, Stuart, someday, hopefully you see this video, right? Hopefully it's not someday to where it's irrelevant. But please, guys, stick to what you're good at. Either that or watch our videos. You will learn a lot about Islam. Next week, actually, guys, I will show you a quick one shot, 10 kill kind of thing. Right. It's going to be so short, sweet, simple. We're going to prove to them that they are polytheists. All right. We're well over the 2-hour mark. I appreciate you guys, all of you guys that have liked, subscribed, commented, hit the like button a couple more times. Just make sure it's an odd number of times so you end up with it highlighted. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends. We're gonna be doing some pretty cool things. All right, and come 2 days from now, we should see you over on Debo's channel, Bruce Reed Perspective, and we'll see what Bar Ephraim has in stock for us this week, and we'll be coming at you with a really great episode next Monday. All right, Debo, any closing remarks, words?
I think if there's a core thing to take away is that please understand, even within their own paradigm, the history is not settled. So don't ever let them get away with saying or presenting some sort of unified history to their worldview. It's just not the case. Their own scholars, even the ancient scholars from back then, disagreed. Right? So if you let them present a unified case, then you're doing something that not even their own scholars grant. Right? That's just what they run on you, the outsider.
Yeah.
Inside their masjids, online, they're at each other's throats.
Yes. Nothing but
Takfiring
lies.
the Shias takfiring the Sunnis. Why? Because they have different accounts of their history. Early history.
Yep. Yes, sir. So tune in. You will learn. We will teach everything you need to know about Islam. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your time. We will be seeing you shortly. Many blessings upon all of you.
Take care. God bless.